Hi, I'm Tracy Anderson, and welcome to the Longevity Game podcast, where we connect with some of the most accomplished people on earth to learn how to live healthier, happier, more fulfilled lives that can sustain the test of time. Today, we are I'm so honored to be joined by U.S. wrestling star Jordan Burroughs. Jordan is an Olympic gold medalist and 6-time world champion, making him the most decorated freestyle wrestler in history. Welcome, Jordan.
Thanks for having me.
I could go on and on and on, but I'm really just so interested in exploring with you and letting people in on who is Jordan Burroughs, how does Jordan show up for life and all that Jordan is capable of. People have come to me my entire career feeling uncomfortable in their bodies,
Sure.
or seeking something greater, a greater potential in their physical selves, or they are misidentifying how to show up for, their primal ability to move or be active or to achieve, and also their health, but also how to fit into a system that says that you need to look a certain way to be, healthy or attractive or any of those things, right? And wrestlers have it, I think, the most difficult of any sport in terms of weight.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree.
Making weight. I'm like, why has no one ever asked a wrestler how to make weight?
They actually have, but here's the thing, it's a gift and a curse, because the beauty of wrestling is that they're weight classes.
You started wrestling when you were, 45 pounds, correct?
Yeah, I was 6 years old.
6 years old.
A little guy, a nugget.
Anyone in your family wrestle? Or?
No, surprisingly, no.
And where did you grow up?
South Jersey.
In
so
Jersey.
I grew up right outside of Philadelphia. My hometown is about 20 miles from Philly.
Okay.
And I started because I got a flyer from our elementary school teacher. She was handing out flyers to all the kids in the school for your local youth programs, right? So every season you played a different sport, and it just so happened that wrestling was a winter season. So she handed us the flyer, and I was a big fan of WWF when I was a kid.
I read that.
Macho Man, Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior. Those are the guys that I watched.
Savage was like
they were
Randy
the best.
Savage. How did he call
Every
himself?
Single kid.
Macho Man
Randy Savage. Remember, he was in the Slim Jims commercial, all the Slim Jim commercials back in
the way that they spoke and communicated was, but like Hulk Hogan today has like 2 million followers on Instagram. He's
an icon. Anywhere he goes, he's still the man.
Yeah.
And there's a persona that you create, and I think that they were larger than life, and I desired that for myself. So when I saw it, although I was a 45-pound kid, like I envisioned being on a big stage, slamming people through tables and hitting them with chairs. And being cheered
because
by the
you're
fans.
a lot more graceful than they are, Jordan. I gotta say, I have watched you move, and the grace and energy management in which you move with is a lot more beautiful than watching WWE or WWF.
Well, those guys are also actors.
They're characters, right?
So
exactly.
If you blended
you're like Baryshnikov compared.
If you blended my artistry from years spent practicing, but also their antics and their character,
right.
I think it could be special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I did just meet your son, and I don't think that he needs you to walk out.
No. He would freak out if you all. Yeah, he is such a gentleman, as are you. So
thank you. I don't know if we need to go there. I think you have a higher calling.
Thank you.
For sure. So, tell me about your parents. Are you an only child or
no? So I grew up in a non-nuclear family. So my dad had two, mom had one. They got married and had me. So I was the golden child, basically.
Okay,
I was the only parent or the only kid to grow up in the household with both parents. And I had only half siblings, so no full-blooded relatives. So I had 2 older sisters and an older brother. I was the baby.
You were the baby.
And so it's like
did your parents go the distance, or did they ever split?
They're still married.
They're still married.
Rocking and rolling.
Oh, that's so great.
Somehow.
And they weren't pushy
years.
Parents in terms of like, you will do sports, or neither one of them,
because they didn't even play.
You brought home
sports.
the flyer, And they're like, all right, son, you want to do
sure,
this?
let's do it.
Okay.
Like, they didn't play organized sports growing up in high school. So they grew up in the city. My mom was young when she had my older sister, her senior year of high school. So she didn't go to the prom. She didn't walk in her graduation. Like, so when she wanted to provide us with all the opportunities that she didn't get as a young woman. So she's like, yeah, whatever you say you want to do, any flyer, any sport, any program, like, we're going for. So we played baseball, we ran track, we did football. Like, we played a bunch of different sports when we were kids. Yeah.
I love that. I had my son when I was 23, but I became pregnant with him when I was 22. So I was also a very young mom with him. And then I was 38 when I had Penny. So I was like, I'm like, oh gosh, I didn't even have my adult brain when I became a mom. And now I'm going to be, and then I had Penny at geriatric, like maternal.
So, but do you feel more refined? Do you feel like a better mom for Penny than you were for?
I feel like a different mom. I feel like a different mom. I felt like I was probably more fun with Sam because I would build all the choo-choo train tracks and do all the things. And but I was also, I think with Sam, I was becoming who I also wanted to be as well. And even though I always wanted to be a mom, I had this other burning kind of drive in me too. So I think that there were definitely many years with Sam where I was like this very, very hands-on stay-at-home mom. And then thank goodness his dad, who played pro basketball, it's like his career was dialing down when my research was growing. And so it was good because I was home with him and then Eric was home with him, right? But I do think that now with Penny, I have a very big job and I'm in service of a lot of people. Yeah. And I have to really be very good at pausing and going, don't miss these things. Don't miss these moments because they're so fast, You blink, Sam's going to be 25 in a month, I'm like, wow, it's crazy, It goes by so fast. And you have...
It's tricky.
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4 kids?
4 little ones.
Four little ones. You have the most beautiful family, guys. Jordan has the most beautiful family.
I don't take any of the credit for my wife. She does a beautiful job.
Wife. She is gorgeous. She is gorgeous and kind, and you can just see this. Yeah, beautiful family.
I'll keep her around.
Oh, I would highly recommend that. And how long have you been married?
We've been married. We'll be 10 years in October.
10 years.
Yeah. So
how did you meet? Did you meet out wrestling?
So her brothers were all wrestlers. So she's one of 4. She's got 3 brothers that all wrestled in college. Her dad was their high school wrestling coach. And so she grew up in the sport. She's one of the few ladies that actually loves the sport of wrestling.
She really understands it.
And she understands it. She gets it. And so her brother wrestled at American University. I went to the University of Nebraska. My senior year of college, the NCAA tournament was actually in Philadelphia at the Wells Fargo Center. She was there watching her brother. And so her dad points me out like, hey, you got to watch this Burroughs kid from Nebraska.
He's pretty about good. To dominate the
world. He's a good wrestler. Right? And so she watched me that weekend and she was like, man, not only is he a good wrestler, but she also thought I was handsome. Right? Yeah. So she sent me a friend request on Facebook a couple of days after the NCAA tournament. And, I got an opportunity to do a wrestling camp in Buffalo, which is her hometown, a few months later. Like, and so I sent her a message like, hey, I'm in town for a couple of days. Wow. I would love to get a chance to meet you. Here's my cell phone number. Hit me up if you get a chance to step out. And she was like, yeah, sure.
And her stomach was probably like, oh, the butterflies.
And so she came. But what's crazy? The first time we met, I didn't even think she liked me. It was like, she operated with a level of sophistication. Yeah. Right. And like, resistance. Now, like, remind you at this time that wrestling is small in regards to, the overall scope of sports. But, I'm popular. I'm a 2-time NCAA champ. Like, I'm young, I'm successful. And so when I met her and she was just like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Like, I got to go soon. I got work in the morning. And like, just very like sophisticated and just like, I was like,
so she had you a little bit. Hey, I know that you're really famous for these like fakes, the fake.
Yeah, she hit me with the
fake. She hit you with your own game.
She was just
she's like I watch him.
Oh, it's good to meet you.
He does a lot of those the teasing.
but I loved her right away. Like from the first day I met her, I was like, I want to marry this girl.
Oh my gosh, I love stories like that. And here you are, this beautiful family.
10 years later.
How does that? So let's talk a little bit about that young boy in you, right? Like this is the thing that I really feel for people when they don't find their physical place as a child, right? Like you found it. You didn't get knocked down because football wasn't going to be, you read and you were like, I might not be the profile for football, but I'm going to take this flyer and I'm going to learn something else. I'm going to be this athlete. From the time that you took that flyer, did you ever quit wrestling, or did you always wrestle?
No, I considered it.
Okay.
I grew up in a predominantly African American neighborhood, right? So if you're black and you're young, you play football, you play basketball.
That's
like no one
what you do.
wrestles. Wrestling is taboo.
Wow.
So in my community, it was just not looked upon as something that was exciting or desirable. So yeah, I tried to quit
did you
when I
get
was like in
teased
6th
at
grade.
that at all? Or?
A little bit. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily teasing as much as it was of just like indifference. Like people just didn't really care. Like we didn't have a lot of fans at our matches.
Right.
None of the girls were excited to watch us compete. Right. Like if we won something, it wasn't on the morning announcements. We weren't in the paper. Like so all of those things were just kind of like I do this purely for the passion and the pursuit and not really for the recognition, because that didn't really exist at the time.
Yeah. But I think that it's such a great lesson for everyone, because when you do something for the notoriety, you're not doing something for what's within you. You're doing something for the me that identifies with all of the credit that comes from the outside in, instead of building something from the inside out, which I think is much healthier, much more long lasting. We're talking about longevity, much more sustainable. Right. Sure. And look at what you've done for the world of wrestling.
Yeah.
And I think that the credibility that you have established through everything that you've done too, and it's exciting to me. You were on my like top list of people when I was like, I want to have these kinds of conversations with these levels of athletes, because I believe that the audience that I serve can learn the most from sitting down and listening to someone like you. Sure. And you were clearly great and probably talented from the get-go. Sure. But other children might have felt like that pressure or indifference was enough to say, I'm out, I'm not going to do this. And then maybe they wouldn't have found that other sport, and they would have leaned into something else, like, oh, you know what? I'm good at show choir, or I'm good at, whatever, an instrument. And then they're not moving their physical bodies anymore. And I think that a lot of kids who just absolutely aren't coordinated, that don't make the teams, they don't move. And we all need to move for our health, right? And so in my career, I teach people who forgot how to move, or forgot that they have full permission to move, or that they know what they're doing with their bodies. It's built into each of us, and getting them to show up in a truthful way again. So how old were you when you won your first world championship?
I was 22.
22.
Yeah.
And do you mind me asking how old you are now?
I'm 35.
Okay. 22 to 35. Has the athlete changed?
That's a great question, actually. A little bit. I try not to. Here's the thing. The way that you perceive yourself and your abilities often is reflected in your performance, right? Yeah. So I always try to think highly of who I am, and I try not to also, subject myself to negative thinking. Like, man, I'm not that guy. I'm not as powerful, not as explosive. But also your body changes, right? You have to be a realist. Like, just with time, with age, you have to find ways to manage this thing differently. So if you look at the greats in all sports, at one point in their lives as young men or young women, they're extremely explosive, powerful, athletic. But as they get older, you start to just become more savvy, more intelligent. And if you spent so much time in your craft that you start to learn ways to finesse your abilities, to use your brain to win in different ways that you were incapable of when you were young, just because you used all of your body and not really your mind.
Right.
So yeah, I would say I'm a different athlete. I feel like a significantly better one.
Yeah.
And I take care of my body better. I focus on my mind more. There's more mental visualization. There's more of a thought process that goes into my wrestling now. Where like when I was young, I just came out guns blazing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the best guy. I'm going to beat everybody here.
Yeah.
But now it's a lot more strategy involved.
I love that. Yeah. And I feel like that when people really learn how to use their entire being to achieve something, like, watch out. Like, I mean,
What's a beautiful thing, like when you can get to that point where you're fully invested in whatever it is that you're doing and you believe, because it's crazy. Like I'm sure people, and you spend a lot of time around guys and girls who have done incredible things in their pursuits and in their own particular crafts, and so nothing's really crazy to you because you know exactly what it takes. You like, it takes what it takes. So, and that's everything.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't identify with that. So like for me, from peer to peer, like what I may tell an average individual, they're like, man, that's crazy. You do that? You eat that? You go that long without eating? You have to travel that much? But for us, it's like, well, what else is there?
Yeah.
Like,
it's so true.
This is what you have to do to win or even have a chance to win.
People go bananas over professional athletes, their talent, their like, I mean, and you're at the top of you're legendary. You're a complete icon. You know, you're as high as anyone has gone in wrestling, right? You're the one that my nephews are like, he's the one, right? He is it, you know? And there's always been, when people can do something with their physical selves that other people just can't even see that they could possibly, you know, do. It's awe-inspiring and it's amazing. Right. But the fact that you're willing to sit down with me, knowing that the people that are going to be listening are people that want to be able to find that spark, find that ability to show up for themselves, find that, like, if Jordan can do it, I can do it.
For sure.
Yeah. We were talking a little bit before we started, and you were asking me like, oh, wow, well, people have to have a certain kind of standard. Like when they meet you, like you have to like be fit and look fit and, you know, have the energy and have the performance and all that. Oh, thank you very much. I'm a lot older than you. I'm 48. But I feel that what you said about being wiser in my body, and I feel more connected in my body now. Right. That I was definitely earlier in my career more explosive with things. And people will say like, well, why is your pacing slowed or this slowed? And I'm just more intentional. I feel through my body more. I'm also a lot more learned in what we're capable of and how we can manage our energy and move and expand and protect and do all of those things. So I actually enjoy feeling through the movement more now than I did before. But when you do present as an athlete or someone who is, in wellness or in athletics, it's just a truth. It's a way of being. It's a way of conditioning and living. And your body doesn't fail you when you do right by it, right? So I don't ever sit in fear, oh gosh, because I've worked with a lot of, people who are artists in the public eye. Mm-hmm. And I really feel for them when they haven't had that through line of taking care of themselves all of the time. So they might get fit for a role or something and then step away and they lose that because they didn't do it in a way that they owned, so to speak. And so then they freak out when they go, it's like this yo-yo effect that I see so many people doing, right? Yeah. There's no option for me, but not because there's anybody watching. It's just my core values. It's part of my character. It's part of who I am, to move and move regularly and to, nourish myself properly and all of that. So with professional wrestling, where your weight matters, right? So you've got to make a certain weight class, mm-hmm. right? Or you can't compete. You can't compete, right? So how is it did you ever have any periods in your training where you were like, wow, I'm not doing this in a healthy way and I need to learn a different way? For sure. Because you look very healthy to me.
Thank you.
You don't look like someone who cuts weight in an unhealthy way.
When you're young, you're at the disposal of your environment, mm-hmm. right? So when I was a kid growing up, my parents were both middle class, working class. My dad's a construction worker. My mom was an office mm-hmm. worker. So like they didn't know about health and nutrition. They weren't into fitness. They weren't working out daily. They weren't bringing home healthy meals. So whatever my mom cooked, I ate. Yeah. And if it
hamburger helper, that was what was on.
And if it wasn't in accordance with where I needed to be, basically I just didn't eat. So I'm like, the less I eat, the less I have to run, or less I have to work out and train. And so when I was young, I basically just wouldn't eat. I would just like
Really?
starve to get down to weight when I was like in high school. And then as I got older, I started to realize like what you put into your body matters. Like you need energy, you need fuel, you need to sweat, you need, you need to compete.
But did you ever fall for that, like false advertising? Like there was the fat-free phase and all of these things. Like how long did it take you to really realize, oh,
all of it, all of that stuff, like, because nutrition, the science is always continuously evolving. So at every point in my career, as I got smarter or as I read the news, I started to analyze like what I was doing at the particular time and what I needed to do better. It wasn't until 2013 when I met a functional medicine doctor. He was a specialist, and he was like, hey, listen,
that's the word.
This is exactly what you need to do in order to perform at your highest level. My first meal after I won my Olympic gold medal in 2012 was McDonald's. Right? So that reminds me, like, at the time,
from McDonald's?
I had a quarter pounder with cheese and a large fry and a high C orange.
High C orange. Oh man, high C orange was like, oh, that makes my stomach sick just thinking about it.
Take you back to
it totally does. I would have gone with the milkshake, even though McDonald's milkshakes were not my favorite, but I still would have gone for the milkshake.
And so
the high C orange was really sugary.
A ton. It was terrible. It was terrible. But at the time, I was just still operating with the residual effects from my childhood.
For sure.
And so
I grew up in Indiana. Like my mom tried to be healthy, like the Roman meal bread over the Wonder Bread and, all of this stuff. But the second I got my license, I was like, I'll take 2 fish fillets, please, some fries and a chocolate shake. Like what kind of fish was I eating?
You can beat it when you're young, right? Like you can go to McDonald's and like still have a 6-pack.
That's so true. That's what I did early in my career. I was so proud of myself because I gained actually a lot of weight at school for dance in college.
Okay.
So my metabolism didn't prove to be too many bagels actually, but my metabolism did have a bit of a freak out in my my late teens, early 20s, and once I started creating this like language of movement that I, could get my body back to like where I was like, oh, I can do this. I was so happy that I could do that and eat double stuffed Oreos.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I can go for a steak and shake and eat double stuffed Oreos and I can look like this. Yeah, it was gnarly.
And you can do that at 20, but not at 48.
No.
Same for me. At 22, I could eat McDonald's, but now at 35.
No way.
It's a completely different experience.
Your body. Yeah, but also we know we really got schooled and but we want to. It's not that we're all getting schooled. It's that clearly you and I both wanted to show up for our internal health better.
And most of the changes that we make are like at a micro level, right?
Yeah.
So it's like something's happening, but it's not completely evident to whatever it is that, to the people, to ourselves, right? So whether it's taking a vitamin or a probiotic or, stretching, or doing recovery or massage therapy or cryotherapy, like you can't see that. I could be recovered and feeling fit and feeling healthy, but you can't really see that.
Right.
But I know it's working.
It's
and
working.
I believe that it's working. So that's all I need.
What does your conditioning look like today?
So typically I wake up every morning at 6 a.m. So we do 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday, I'm with my buddy Connor Milstein. He runs a company called ISO Movements.
Cool.
So it's like functional mobility. And so just lubricating the joints, staying active, staying fit.
I'm all about
so a lot
that.
of rotational movement, staying dynamic, staying athletic. So I do that 5 days a week at 6 a.m. That lasts for about an hour. I typically sauna about 3 times per week after those workouts.
Do you do like a regular sauna or an infrared? Do you do classic or infrared?
I do just hot sauna, dry
classic.
sauna.
With the
pour the water on the rocks.
I do too.
That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Because I like to sweat.
Yeah.
I like to sweat, and then we typically are on the mat 4 times a week. And so for us, being on the mat is a series of things. It's technique, so learning new movements, drilling, which is like actually executing those movements, and then live wrestling, which is like battling with our opponent. So it's like you would consider that like a spar.
Right.
And so we do that 4 times a week, and that usually lasts for about 2 hours. And then typically either chiropractic care, massage therapy, some level of like cold tub. I stretch each night before bed and roll out with my foam roller.
Yeah.
So like I just spend a lot of time on my body.
Yeah. I do too. Yeah.
But
You have to.
it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And it's bigger than just wrestling. Like I got 4 little ones that I want
know.
to play with and run. And I want to wrestle with my son when he's
Right.
in college and in
So
high school.
longevity matters to you.
Huge.
The win is not worth you losing the longevity of your body in motion to
100%.
you. Right.
100%.
So I always, whenever anybody's like, gossiping about the latest Tom Brady retirement, I'm always like, why do you care? Like, I guarantee the guy never wants to retire. So who cares if he says he's going to retire because the system's pressuring him or whatever? And then he's like, I don't actually want to retire. I think that when you have passion, real passion for what you do, you never want to stop doing it. Never. Like, I'm sure he wants to like pass away throwing the ball. I'd like to pass away doing a leg lift I created, right?
Bed, yeah.
Right? I mean, I feel like that this stigma behind your years of being an athlete are numbered, or that this is what 50 looks like or 60 looks like or 70 looks like, is something that we're people that actually practice like we do are going to change the way that looks.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think so too. I do. And you start to see the ages are getting later and later because people are taking care of their bodies better over time. Science is changing. Recovery methods and tools are changing.
Correct.
And then ultimately, like, it's become a more lucrative asset to be good at what you love for a longer period of time, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't play, you don't get paid,
right,
unless you find an alternative method. But also, I love what I do. And I'm in a tricky space because most athletes, or most people in general, when you get to 35, 40, you're settling into what you're going to do for the rest of your life. I'm transitioning out of what I've done my entire life. So it's a tricky dynamic trying to figure out, what else am I passionate about? What do I love? What do I want to do long term? So I think there's honor in playing until you can't play anymore. Like,
where you're really at peace with that.
And then when you step away, then you can say, listen, I give everything I had to this sport. I never cheated. I honored this game, and I gave everything that I could. And now I have to walk away because my body really can't do this anymore at a high level. Yeah,
I shared with you that my nephew is a Division I wrestler at Purdue University.
Right? Yep.
And
awesome.
He said something to me about you, which I think is really amazing. He said, Jordan has this really amazing way of, like, when he wins something big, it's like you can feel that he's proud. But if he loses a match, like, he takes it as an opportunity to grow and not as if he was defeated.
Yeah.
And it's amazing that these young wrestlers can look up to you. And he said it so quick, like that it was awesome. One of the things that he most admires about you, the way that you handle the matches you win, the giant, like, Olympic gold medals, and then the ones that you don't win. And I think that's really important that translates to people. Can you talk to me a little bit about the feeling of winning a world championship and a gold medal, with that, how that sits in your psyche and who you are, versus losing something that you really went in to win?
Well, the preparation is the same. And that's what's scary, is you can do everything right and still lose.
Yeah.
Or you could do everything right and win. You just don't really know. You don't control the outcome of the events.
Right.
But the beauty is that I love that. And that's why people watch sports, is to see crazy stuff happen, to see the underdog stories, to see people prepare their entire lives to do something special and then be able to achieve it. So wrestling, from a young age, it gave me purpose. Like, it gave me passion. It helped me avoid distractions and to stay locked in on something that I could do to change my life and the people around me. And so, when I think about winning a world championship, Olympic gold medal, like, I love being able to prepare for something and actually overcome it. Like, that's special to me.
Right.
Because often life beats you up, right? It kicks your butt.
Oh my gosh.
Just because you want to do something doesn't mean it's going to happen for you.
Right.
And so I'm watching my kids go into this space now where they're athletes and they're competitive, and some days they get their butt kicked.
Yeah.
Some days they win. But I have to try to be the living example of the things that I preach to
Right.
them. It's like, hey, listen, dad loses sometimes.
Yeah.
But losing is just an opportunity for you to continue to grow, a character building moment. So it
Character
doesn't
building.
make you a loser. It just makes you a competitor. Everyone that competes loses.
Oh, I love that. It doesn't make you a loser. It just makes you a competitor,
you a
which just
competitor.
means that you're willing to be a part of that
Put
delicious
it on
game
the
of
line.
life.
Like you put it on the line.
Yeah.
Like you're doing something that's
Yeah.
really difficult, and that takes a ton of courage.
You're being vulnerable too.
You're being
you know?
vulnerable, and
Right.
that's why we do this. That's
Right.
why we do this,
Yeah.
because we get all the fruit of being successful and doing really cool things, and we get
Yeah.
admired from the people. But who we become on the journey is what's special, and sometimes that's
Yeah.
not even, you can't even quantify that. Like who you are now is so much different than who you were at 22, and you put a ton of work in to achieve that. But
Yeah.
the way that you live your life, the way that you operate, navigate the world, perceive the people in the world around you, and then how people see you and the energy that you're able to give off to other people, and they can achieve their own personal goals because of what you do in your life. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So
really
we're
is.
blessed. We're
Yeah.
blessed to be able to do that.
How will Jordan Burroughs parent his children in terms of sports? Eric Anderson, my son's father who played pro basketball, I thought it was so amazing to watch him let Sam lead. He never pushed him ever to like be or play any sport that his head and heart wasn't in. Like, do you envision yourself being a sideline dad that's like, you will?
I'm a little bit of everything. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm a little bit of everything. I'm not a rah-rah authoritative guy anyways, right? I'm a pretty even tempoed, relatively
Right.
chill individual.
Right.
But I tell all my kids will wrestle.
Right.
Like they all have to. And here's the reason.
Okay.
Their lives are easy, right? They've got an abundance of resources. They've got
Right.
connections everywhere they go.
Right.
They get homeschooled. They
Yeah.
got a fridge full of food.
Yep.
People accept them and love them
I love
everywhere
the way
they
you're
are.
just calling it like it
And
is. Yeah.
so their lives are easy. They don't
Yeah.
have to fight. They don't have to scrap. They don't have to wonder when the next meal's coming.
Yeah.
They don't have to struggle at all.
Yeah.
So the only way to replicate struggle is to put them in something that's really difficult, and that's athletics. And for me in particular, what I know best is wrestling.
Right.
And they're going to have to learn a lot of character within this sport.
Yeah.
And so that's why they wrestle. It's like you're going to have to be resilient, persistent. You're going to have to be disciplined. You have
Yeah.
to learn how to be dedicated.
Yeah.
How to get their butts kicked and build back. How to push themselves. How to cut weight. How to be
Yeah.
disciplined with their diet.
Right.
How to be committed to their goals. All those things that it would be hard pressed for me to teach them in our lives, because I've provided such an easy lifestyle for them.
Right.
And so
Oh, gosh.
sports is going to create that for them, and in particular
I think
wrestling.
that's really wise of you, because I think as parents today too, we over coddle. We're so
100%.
we make everything. I mean, I make everything so easy for my kids, and I didn't have it so easy.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why you work to develop the character that you have, and you also work to show up for yourself in the right ways. My kids both have to move. Like I do insist, I don't let them just not be physical. That's
good.
just not an option. Are you all boys, or you've got a little girl?
No, we've got two girls.
You've
two
got
boys.
two girls too.
Yeah,
The girls
will
are gonna learn
too.
to wrestle,
Yeah,
too.
my oldest daughter, she's 7.
love
She
that.
wrestled this year too.
She did?
Yeah.
So they have an actual, forgive me for being naive, there is
Yeah.
an actual
Yeah, there's a
women's wrestling league
it's
now.
Grown. It's the fastest
Thank
growing
goodness.
high school sport in America.
Thank goodness.
Women's wrestling. It's
I
big.
love hearing that.
Big.
It's great.
But so I
The
always
time
try
is
to just
now.
remind them, like, listen, Dad's worked hard.
Yeah.
I can chill. You can't chill. Like, you've still got to establish yourself, bro. Like, my legacy is not enough to transfer to you to allow you to live a good lifestyle. Like, you got to go get it on your own.
I often tell my audience, like, if I have to go and like shoot a cover or something like that, where I'm going to show my abs and I like to look more shredded or whatever, this is my diet before I do that a few days before, right?
Yep.
I live a clean, healthy life, but I don't live a restrictive life with food. But if I have to prepare for something, then I will, cut out the carbs and different things like that. And I say, what does a cutting weight menu look like for you?
Yeah, so it's very few carbs.
Yeah, it's always few carbs, yeah.
And intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So, like, really going prolonged periods of time without eating. And it doesn't really even have to be during the day. So like this is what a typical day would look like for me. I wake up in the morning, I'll go and I'll have like a bowl of granola with maybe like some kefir.
When you're cutting weight,
yeah.
You'll do granola.
Yeah, so
Wow.
I'll do like just like
you're nicer to yourself than I am.
So I'll do, but I just like, I need the sugar for my next workout, right?
Oh,
so
got
like,
it.
I'll do a small bowl of granola with like some yogurt, and then I'll do like some blueberries, blackberries, and then
blueberries
also,
are so good for
like
you.
some bananas and honey.
Yeah.
And so I'll do that for breakfast, and that'll be relatively small bowl, and then I'll go practice at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
I'll come back home for lunch. I'll do a smoothie, so a green smoothie. So it's just like plant protein, spinach, almond milk, a banana, and then
right. But
like
but that's the thing is like people need to understand like you have that granola and then you burned that off.
And then
it's gone. And then it's a liquid
immediately after.
And then it's a liquid shake right after.
So then it's a liquid shake immediately after. And then for dinner, I'll come home for dinner and I try to eat as early as possible. So like 5 p.m.
Exactly.
I'll have dinner and I'll do like, I don't know, 8 ounces of protein, either a steak or some chicken or fish. And then I'll do it with like some broccoli. And that's it.
Yeah, that's not.
So no snacks.
Yeah, that's about the same
if
kind
I'm
of
snack. It's cashews or almonds. You know, something extremely simple. And then once I finish eating dinner at 5 p.m., I don't eat again until that granola after my 6 a.m. workout. You know, the following morning. And so
so there's a workout even before your wrestle.
Yeah, so that's a workout to prep me for my wrestling workout.
But that's more the dynamic movement workout. It's not like running on a treadmill or anything like that.
No. It's it's a little bit of running, but not like a long distance.
Because you got to protect your joints, and that's running's not going to protect your joints.
I bike a lot more now than I run, just to be easy on my knees and
anything that you're doing over and over and over, you got to watch.
Yeah, for sure.
So tell me a little bit about the dancer in you. I'm not
a terrible dancer. Actually, I might be a good dancer. I'm just too shy to dance in front of a lot of people.
Yeah, because when I watch you wrestle, there's a dancer in you that I don't see in your opponents. Like I really watched a lot of your matches, and there's an understanding of center and of your energy. Where do you think that comes from?
Practice.
Maybe there's a truth or something in your.
I think there's a gift.
Do you? There's a gift.
There's definitely a
gift. There's a gift. There's a gift.
I could wrestle like right away. Like my first year wrestling, I could wrestle pretty well. Like without ever having practiced or trained or been taught. Like I had a pretty solid grasp of my positioning, awareness. I had like cat-like quickness, great reflexes. And so all that stuff was kind of instinctual.
Yeah.
And so the more I rehearsed it and trained it, I got much, much better at it. And then I physically started to develop. And so, I think that's my advantage within the sport. And that's why I've been able to achieve so much is my athleticism, my awareness, my focus, my discipline, my senses are high level.
It seems like you can do the highs and lows of like energy well. Like when you watch like if you're touching someone's head or you're, like doing your little fakes or whatever you call
a lot of wrestling.
I have.
Have you learned anything?
I feel like a terrible aunt, I have to tell you, because like my nephews are these extraordinary.
He must be pretty tough.
They're extraordinary wrestlers, and I watch them all the time, and I'm like, wow, that's like amazing. But really not. I'm watching more from just someone who has studied physical movement for 25 very focused years. And when I try and teach people about like awareness, like even when they're mimicking me, like with arm movements that I have created or whatever, some people just can't, they have a very difficult time with the awareness of energy that goes all the way through them. And if they're going to let energy go, or if they're going to like extend and then bring it back into them, that you actually energetically can create your own resistance in your body, right? You can create your own levers of resistance. You can create your own anchors. You can create your own weight transfers. You can create your own momentum. You can create all these things energetically.
Yeah.
And you seem to have like a Jedi level of that in you.
Yeah, I have a really good understanding of my body.
Yeah.
And that's come from just time in the gym, working out, sparring, feeling myself through positions, like trying to help unfold and unpack who I was, what I could do, what I could create. Wrestling is cool because every wrestler has like an identity or profile. So it's like when I
Well,
was a
the
kid,
WWE ones do, but
yeah, I know, right? Seriously.
I don't know about,
But when
I
I
don't know
was a
about the
kid,
Olympic gold medal.
I used to take pieces from my favorite wrestlers
Okay.
and try to replicate that. So I was like, okay, I want to do this guy's low single or this guy's double leg or this
got
guy's
it.
head snap. But it wasn't until I got to college that I started to develop my own personal identity. Like, this is the way I want to wrestle.
Right.
Like, I want to be able to execute
Your own
my
artistry.
stuff better than them. So, you know, wrestling is cool because it's really a hustle to where you feel comfortable. So you want to try to ensnare this person in where you want them to be. Right. So it's all about the movement to put them exactly where you want them to be, where you feel good about your wrestling.
Where you can really then it gets quick.
And you can exploit them, right? So it's like bring them to a place where they can't defend any longer, and then I can score points. There really is an artistry to it. It's a beautiful sport.
It's like a shark before attacking.
That's
Where
it.
they're
right?
gonna stir the sand up.
That's exactly
around
right.
you, and then they're gonna
stir their body up, stir their equilibrium up, get them off balance, get them uncomfortable, and then that's when you strike and attack.
That's what I could see, and I'm like a really big Star Wars fan, and I was like, I really feel like I'm watching like a Jedi on the mat here with
there's
you.
a mental focus that's affiliated with it. It's a cool sport.
But I feel like that people that can move like that, there's an alignment of their ability to have a really balanced conversation inside of themselves, like your intellectual self and your physical self and your emotional self and your spiritual self and all of those things. I feel like somehow in Jordan's upbringing, he can really like, if one's talking too loud, you can use the others to calm that down. And if you can have these quick conversations between all of you, all of the aspects of you. And I feel like that being able to do that, people figuring out how to plug into that like moderator and internal moderator inside of themselves, that's where a lot of power comes from, right? That's where the control to go, you know what, you might be craving a quarter pounder with cheese right now, but you're absolutely not having one. Like there's just no world in which, so just don't even go there, right? Like what part of you gets you into the training zone?
That's necessary. I credit myself of having extremely strong discipline.
Yeah.
And, part of that comes from refinement. Part of it may just be divine.
Yeah.
But my ability to like withstand pain longer than my opponents, my ability to stay focused longer than my opponents has been kind of a staple.
And you didn't come from a really painful place. You're the baby of a beautiful love affair.
I'm the baby, but I fell in love with this sport. Yeah. I fell in love with the craft and who it made me and what I became when I did it.
Yeah.
Right, because I was a chill guy. I was low key, wasn't like braggadocious, didn't have swagger.
Right.
I was just a relatively chill individual. When I stepped onto the mat and I put my singlet straps on, like I became someone completely different, and I love that feeling.
I wish that for everyone.
I love that feeling.
That when they go into just their workout, that they can like put on the straps and get a little bit of what you've got.
Well, that's why you move, right?
Yeah.
That's why you move. Like I don't go to work out for the fitness as much as I go because I love this movement. I love this puzzle that I'm always trying to figure out ways to unfold and peeling back layers. It's like, man, maybe I could do this. Oh, I got to put my hands here, head here, foot here, leverage here. And so like, I love that game. Yeah. I love to play that game. And I feel that when I'm moving and it makes me feel like a great athlete. Like nothing is more beautiful than watching someone who's in complete control of every part of their body. Like that's fun for me.
Don't you think it helps you in life to be more resilient? Like when actual life happens, to know your body so well and to let things move through it, the pain in life, the joy of life. Don't you think that being more connected to your physical self makes it all, I don't know, a bit more human?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a level of awareness that you have when you're connected to your body. Yeah. And you take better care of it. My body is truly my temple, and I really want to make sure that I can move it well. Right. I want to make sure that it's healthy, that it's sustainable, that I put the right fuel in it, that it can withstand difficulty, and it can do really special things. Like it's cool to move, but also the way that it can throw the kids in the air and tickle the babies, and hug my wife and,
That's
shake hands with individuals that I'm meeting, and transfer of energy. Like all of those things are important to me. And
that's exactly what I was talking about.
It all started with like just wrestling, and that awareness has made me really put me in a place where I always want to make sure that I'm on point in everything that I do. Yeah.
And all of that mental puzzle, being a husband and a dad of 4 kids, I'm sure there are tons of puzzles you have to work out with your wife and your kids and all of the things. It also has to help. Like, it has to help with resolution and being able to go, you know what? I can figure this puzzle out of how this one's getting over here and this one's getting over here, and you need to do this and you need to do that, or this needs to get done. How much do you love the household Jordan Burroughs
it's
role?
humbling. Let me put it that way. It's very humbling being at home. I'm sure you're not Tracy Anderson.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? You're in a different space. Your mom.
No,
right?
Totally.
And whatever your family addresses you as, like, you are a different person there, and you want to be that.
You want to be that.
You
absolutely.
Peel back that peel off that mask when you step into the household and say, okay, I don't have to take any pictures. I don't have to sign any autographs.
Yeah.
I can just be myself, and I can be vulnerable. I can be transparent. I can be authentic, organic.
Yeah.
And that happens for me at home. So I love being in the space with my kids. Like, I love having kids.
You also want the safety of them looking at you and just like, I'm just dad. I'm just your dad.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Because, one of the more difficult things now is going to public spaces with the kids and still trying to honor them, but also honor the people who support you.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same for you, right?
Yeah.
If you take Penny to the bagel shop and someone's like, oh my God, Tracy, like, I love you. And you're just like, I really just would like to have a bagel with my daughter this morning. We're talking about how she did at her recital yesterday. This is an important moment.
Right. People for me are more like, could I just show you my outer thigh and could you like help me out with that?
And that's tricky because, you're a public servant.
Yeah.
And
right.
You have a civic duty to
true.
empower the people. And I take that responsibility on, but I also, my family is really important to me.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that they're a part of what I do.
I'm seeing that you're is this your wedding band or is
this is my wedding band.
It's such a cool, so the rubber wedding band, because I was like, do you have the coolest Oura Ring color that ever came out?
Yeah, this is it's like a salmon type vibe.
It's really cool, but my brother
has
wears a one that's like flexible, right?
I've lost to probably about 5 or 6 wedding bands, so my wife just bought me these. She's like, listen, these cost about $10 a piece.
There you
throw
go.
this in your nightstand, you lose one,
it's
go
very
get another
cool.
one.
Do you wear any kind of things that actually monitor your like sleep or any of those things?
We dabble with we did the Whoop band for a period of time.
Yeah.
And it was good, but I like to just be
feeling in your own body.
Yeah, I can just be, right? So like
you're good.
I can look at myself in a mirror. I can wake up and just stand up and feel like where my weight's at, how I feel that day, whether there's aches and pains. Do I need to take this day off? Do I need to drink more water? Am I dehydrated? Like I like to just kind of feel and analyze and assess based on where I'm at.
How preventative are you with your blood work and that kind of stuff? With your when you met that functional medicine doctor,
we did all that stuff.
But do you still stay on it?
He taught me a lot about specific vitamins, about gut health, about intermittent fasting. We changed our entire lifestyle in regards to even the things that we put onto our body. So toothpaste, deodorant, cologne, lotion, the mattress that we sleep on, the couches that we buy, the Tupperware that we put our food, our leftovers into, microplastics and seed oils and
you are so educated, all ladies and gentlemen. When is Jordan's book coming out? Are you going to write a book?
Stuff. I would like to someday when I finally finish and I retire and that final chapter of my wrestling career is closed. Yeah, I'd like to write something.
I can't wait to hear about what's in store for you next. Like Paris 2024.
At Paris Olympics next year, 2024. The Olympic trials for wrestling are in April.
Well, I'm so blessed that you came all the way out to the Hamptons.
My wife was excited when she got the inquiry from me. She's like, Tracy Anderson, you know how big a deal this is? Like, she's so cool. She's trained J-Lo and Gwyneth Paltrow. And I'm like, That's cool.
True story.
So we wanted
That's a true
to
story.
come here and meet you. So thank you for having us. This was awesome.
But actually, in hearing you talk, there's a lot of similarities that I hear in you and Jennifer Lopez. Like in terms of like that vision work and mindset and just like
I like to win.
way of
I like to win. I like the people around me to win. I like to serve the people. Like I like to live my life. I say this respectfully, like as a sacrifice for others. It's like the more I do, the more other people get to do because of me. They watch me and get inspired to accomplish their own goals. And that's special to me. So that's why
love it.
I work so hard. That's why I stay focused. I stay disciplined. I'm like, man, this is not just about me.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are counting on us to show up.
Yeah, to show up. Exactly. What's one little bit of advice that you could give anyone who is hesitant or feels like they can't start working out, they aren't coordinated enough to start working out, they absolutely fail on their diet all the time, they can't make the changes from the quarter pounder to the, whatever, like the healthier choice.
Yeah, I just start.
Just start.
Like, honestly, just start. I have to give myself permission. There are many days that you fail.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to have a short-term memory. So have the ability to forget quickly. So if you had something that you didn't love yesterday, tomorrow's a new day. It's a new opportunity, a new horizon for you to make a good decision. So, just
and you have to feel it. You have to feel it in you. Like you got to feel like you want these things. You can buy all the books and you can subscribe to all the things and you can look at all the famous people that are doing this and that and whatever. But you have to feel it inside of your own soul, right? You got to feel it. You got to feel like I was meant to move and I was meant to nourish and I was meant to sleep and I was meant to be treated right and I was meant to treat others right. And you got to feel those things.
And that avenue of your life will transcend every other avenue. Like when you feel healthy, when I feel good and I have routine and my diet's good and I'm moving every day, like I'm a better husband, I'm a better father, a better friend. I'm more aware, more conscious, I have more clarity, and I write better, I read more, like all of those things happen, but it all starts from my diet and exercise. Like that's kind of like what keeps me most grounded. Absolutely.
Okay, so the Paris Olympics, and you're wrestling you got to make a certain weight to get there, right?
I got some weight to lose. So the last 3 years I've wrestled at 79 kilos, which is 174 pounds.
Okay.
I'm going down to 163 pounds for the next Olympic Games.
That's
so
an 11-pound
drop.
11-pound drop.
And I usually walk around at about 180 pounds. Right?
Okay.
So, and I got to get down to 163.
And how long do you have to sustain 163?
Well, you step on the scale. So
that morning.
Just that moment, you step on the scale.
Just that moment. You just have to get there for that moment.
But competition starts 2 hours after weigh-ins, right? So you can't crash diet and then still go out and perform well.
When you start that countdown, you also have to make sure that you have that energy to perform at that weight too, right?
Yeah, you can't. It's not just about like weighing in. You're not just stepping on the scale like I did.
You have to be that.
You're like, okay, now you got to beat 5 guys in a row to be an Olympic gold medalist. So like it's a Herculean task. It's intense. But it's what we do. It's what we do. So most people be like, I couldn't. I'm like, you can.
You can. Everyone can.
You just have to decide that you can.
Yeah.
Serena Williams said it best. She's like, there are many days that I don't feel like working out, but there's never a day that I feel like losing.
Oh, I love that.
So that's always my perspective.
Like, they're such great girls.
This is a hard day, but when I stand on top of that podium and they place that medal around my neck and the American flag gets raised higher than all others and I hear that national anthem, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. Just gratitude,
also fully living every beautiful moment of life. Like there's that knowing that you actually did all of those things to feel that alive, right?
That's one of our family values is we can do hard stuff.
Yeah.
We can do hard stuff. Like, yes, it's hard. It's difficult, but I'm here with you. I'm going to encourage you and empower you. You can do this.
Right.
And it's tough and it's going to take all of you, but this is what we do.
For good reason. And I have to ask this, are you musically motivated?
I love music.
Who do you love? Head. Who are your faves?
I mean, I've got so many, honestly.
I know I do too.
I listen to hip hop's my favorite for sure.
But who's your all-time favorite hip hop?
Jay-Z for sure.
That's not even
amazing. A question. Yeah, Jay-Z.
Have you met him?
Never met him.
I trained him once and
he didn't strike me as the most athletic
individual. He asked for, he's good friends with Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris, and I his asked, and he said, "Oh, can I please just get a little? Can I at least have a cap of water over there?" So nice, so
that's
nice.
That's awesome. Yeah,
yeah. Jay-Z is so talented.
I like
He's
to
so,
listen to music.
There's so much truth. Oh my gosh, music is everything to me.
Is it the lyrics, or is it just the sound? Is it the beat? Like what it?
To me, it's the truth of how much the artist stayed after any song that made it stand the test of time. Like to me, it's about this. Like, sure, there can be a song that's like having a moment, but I know that in 20 years that song will not have that moment anymore. Right. And those songs don't sit with me the same as a song that, I can listen to Biggie all the time. Like to me, it translates. To me, it like goes to, I have Tupac even on my playlist a lot. Like to me, that can, stand the test of time. And there are other artists where I'm like, no, that was for that moment and that time, and that doesn't. But I love everything from hip hop to rock to like, all the things. It's just about how I just feel like you can see when an artist was like, okay, I needed to have 11 tracks on here, and they just kind of like, that was good enough. Yeah. And then when somebody like Jay-Z is he's so gifted, right? You can listen to his whole,
it's like a beautiful performance.
It's poetry.
Right? So
it's poetry.
If you think of let's say a gymnast performing a perfect 10, like that's how I imagine that an artist feels when they lay that perfect track. They're like, that's the one. That's the one. I would love to be in the studio when they finish a hit record and like just seeing like, they're like, this is the one. This is going to be, the people are going to love this.
They're going to love it. And it's part of who they are. Yeah, exactly.
And it's cool.
It's very cool. I know. It's amazing. Well, you are so inspirational. You have a shoe out, right? You have wrestling equipment out. Is there anything else coming up for you that like people can participate in other than cheering you on as loud as they can from for the Olympics next year?
Yeah, we have, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter.
For sure. I follow
Threads, pretty much everything.
But your Instagram is not your name. It's
All I See Is Gold.
All I See Is Gold.
All I See Is Gold. My Instagram and Twitter. And then we have a foundation that my wife and I created in 2017 called the All We See Is Gold Foundation.
Oh, that's great. I'll donate.
Wrestlers in urban underserved communities.
Amazing.
So we have a good time doing that. And then yes, Rudis is the name of the brand that I'm partnered with. And we have our own wrestling shoe. It's really cool. I'm the Michael Jordan of wrestling.
Of that. I see. And the campaigns are that. I'm like,
yeah, so it's cool.
The
cool.
campaigns
it's a fun
are
time.
amazing.
We have a good time doing it. I consider myself a creative.
Yeah, we might have to come out with an athleisure wear line. Let's do it. Let's make some cool. Well,
I would love to make Tracy.
I'm like, I want things to look more athletic now. Like I was the first person to branch out of just a solid color legging. Yep. And I'm like, let's make some prints and all that. But now there's so many prints and everything is so like, it's so fast forward. Now I'm like, I just want
saturated because you've seen it. Like I imagine you've been in this space for so long. You've seen it change and be commercialized and people take over it that you're like, you're not even purist. You're not even true to this.
Oh my
God.
God.
You don't even love this. You're just in this trying to take all the money from the people that I actually love and am trying to empower.
Yeah.
And so I got to imagine that's really tough for you.
So true. But a really sick athletic line to make everyone feel like all they see is gold would be amazing. That would be fun. That would be a good name too. And all we see is gold. We're going to talk about that empire now.
Marketing partner.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be cheering you on for life, man. You're so cool. I appreciate you being on this so much.
Appreciate you for having me.
It's always great to connect with people on social media. You can find us at Tracy Anderson Method, Tracy Anderson Method on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're interested in learning more about how you can start to move in your body, show up, and really make that commitment to movement, which is such a pivotal part of longevity, we have a 2-week free trial at www.tracyanderson.com.